Having just watched the two videos concerning the washing machine and the other one, Half the Sky, I think the overall message from both of them is just that we need to start thinking outside the box a little bit. The solutions that they presented weren't so much solutions to major problems, but they were just mainly small and simple things that we could do. And I think that was their hope, was that those little things that we could do wouldn't overwhelm us, but inspire us to do something that we wouldn't do normally. Um, I thought it was pretty interesting that with all of these talks that we've listened to, the major um, argument, I guess, or um, point of discussion is other people's experiences. With Hans Rosling, he used the washing machine and his mother, and how it was such a huge event in their family, and bringing the grandparents over and how it inspired his family. But also in Half the Sky, and how they used the different examples from all over the world. Just kind of took us around to give us inspiring examples to let us know that there are people that are actually succeeding with these small and simple means. Um, One thing that I did think was interesting was that in each of the discussions there was a little bit of I guess room for error or room for argument. None of their arguments were completely sound. I was watching it, and just seeing that they based some of um, their biggest points on kind of assumptions. um, was, I mean, you're not going to have all the facts for everything, um, but it requires a little bit of faith and hope, and I think that's what they're going for, is to pull at the heartstrings of um, some of the individuals in the room. One thing that I did like, though, about the last one, the Half the Sky, was at the end, she asked us to basically live the United Order, or kind of the law of consecration. She talked about how we have everything really that we need in this life, in our situation, and that once we fulfill our needs and then even some of our wants, we can really move on to helping other people, and that helping other people fulfills our need for happiness. That was one of the things that really brings us happiness, and we've talked about that actually in my other class in American Foundations. We're going over systems of government and comparing socialism and capitalism, and also the law of consecration, or the United Order. Um, and I think they're right on with that there is a need, and I think the gospel perspective would give them some insight as to their kind of um, argument that requires a little bit of faith and hope, because it didn't seem like they have too much background in the religious department. Um, but I did like as well, in the Hans Rosling, his comparisons. I think he's um, the key speaker who uses these comparisons. He uses the kind of fuel consumption or energy consumption, and just lines it up and says, "This is where all our energy is coming from. It's not from the people that are undeveloped. It's from the rich people." And so once the rich people figure out how to use their energy correctly, then they can give suggestions to the rest of the world. And I think a little bit of kick in the pants is probably a good thing to get every now and then, towards those that are kind of high and mighty. I also liked, in, I think it's Cheryl Wu Dun. Um, I liked how she actually kind of took us to the country, to show us that, you know what, things aren't going so great everywhere else. And she even gave that example of the girl who saw the bird in the bird feeder, and how she broke down crying. I thought that was a unique um, topic to bring up, that a little bird and a bird feeder could inspire you. And I think those experiences that these people are having are inspired by God, that He's trying to soften the hearts of the children of men, and start to get them to look outside of themselves. And I think a lot of these global discussions, global topics are more related to religion than we would think, and that's probably why they haven't been solved, is because the only thing that can really cure these problems is the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I think it starts with acts of kindness, acts of faith that will start to soften our heart and get us open to that. And so I think they're going in the right direction, even though there's some things in their discussions that I question. One of them, I guess I should probably say one of them, but one of them was in Cheryl Wooden. She talked about how once women become more educated, they no longer want to have as many children. I think that's one thing that kind of clashes with the gospel or the teachings of our church, is that we promote women to be educated, but we also have in mind the plan of salvation, which, yeah, overpopulation could be considered a concern. However, I don't think it's within God's plan to overpopulate the world and kind of ruin His chances for His children to come down here. And so I thought that was just one of those problems that would have been solved had they known more about the gospel. And so I think the biggest thing that I learned is that really these are serious problems. We need to start thinking about them and thinking about the small and simple things that we can do to overcome them. However, we need to keep in mind that it's not meat that we run faster than we have strength, but it is meat that we're diligent. And so I think we need to start looking outside of the box in ways that we can help not only our immediate contacts, but those outside of our reach, who we would normally come in contact with. But overall, it was a good experience, and enjoyed watching those videos.